Who better than me? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, or welcome back to the casual stream with your host, Face the Kid. As always, please like and subscribe, share with a friend, a colleague, a relative, an associate, an enemy, any and all in between. It is appreciated. Thank you to all those who have joined. Apologies, I'm a couple minutes late. I like to be dead on time, but you guys know how it is. First things first, let me know what's the sound levels like. Is the volume good? Underground music good? Like, can you hear me clearly? Do I need to try and turn myself up? Just let me know so that we can have this nice and uninterrupted. I see some new faces in the chat. Oh, okay. So first and foremost, Philip Answer, big ups to you, young man. How are you doing? Hope you're doing well. Stay blessed, be real in the building. Tony Bartlett in the building. Jonah 31 as well. And in the ring with Christine, Miss Christine Lopez herself. Salute to you, Queen. I hope you're doing very, very well. And I hope you've had a good day with the Olympians, getting them ready for Paris and all that. Abner Ortega as well. Salute to you, Puerto Rico's own. Gotta love my Hispanic subscribers. Everyone's saying I sound good. All right, that's good stuff. James, big up to you, and big up to who's that? Ivan Grubb as well. Shout out to you. Thank you very much for being in attendance. So look, today is very, very casual. I don't actually have any specific topics in mind. There will be a video, there'll be an episode of the Hardcore Casual out tomorrow. I probably should have got one done for this morning, so you guys kind of had that to lead into this. But yeah, it's going to be one tomorrow. I might film it as soon as I finish this, and that will come out early morning. If not, it will come out about lunchtime tomorrow. Obviously, basis picks on Friday. But what I want to do is I kind of wanted to leave this stream up to the people. You guys kind of give me topics to talk about, and we can talk about them together. So, very free flowing today. There's a few bits and pieces that did come out, so we can address those, and any that are worth extra consideration, I'll put in the video tomorrow. To let you guys know that the actual episode for tomorrow will be a little bit different, because not only would it obviously have some interesting news points that I want to speak about, like I do, there's also going to be a little bit of an exclusive interview in there with a new woman boxer that's sort of just coming on the scene, prospect, trains out of the Fabio Wardley gyms in Ipswich. So yeah, I'm going to add that into the video tomorrow so that she can get some additional views, and then we'll see how she sort of comes along down the road. But yeah, all good. I see Ilukan in the building as well. Big ups to you. Much respect for joining, same as everyone else. But yeah, so what's on everyone's mind? What's the major talking points? I mean, I'm pretty sure one of them's gonna be the impending, or should I say, the already confirmed European title vacation of Adam Azim, and the signed Harlem Eubank fight. I'm sure that's gonna be one. Yeah, Philip, they can be off topic. Go for it. Whatever you want to ask, feel free to ask it. I think you had some stuff you wanted to ask from the breakdown yesterday, so feel free to ask it today and I'll answer. Stay blessed, be real. What do you think to a fight with Aziz versus Arthur? I think it's a good fight, and it's a fight that Dan Aziz wanted, because initially he was talking, when he had his British and his European and everything, he wanted Lyndon Arthur to be his last opponent, to be able to win the British outright, and Lyndon Arthur didn't want to take the fight. So I can't remember what happened straight after that, but then he ended up facing he ended up facing Joshua Buatsi instead. and obviously lost that fight. But if he did fight Lindenhoff, I think it's a very good fight for both of them. I mean, it's winnable for both. I'd probably I'd lean towards Dan Aziz only because like Linden doesn't like pressure, and Dan will keep pressure on him. Uh, that's how I would kind of see it now. But I'd have to see a few more of their fights just to see if maybe there is anything different to that in my mind. Jonah 31. What next for Chris Congo? I think he's gonna go for the he's gonna get another shot at the British title. I can assume because Marco's got quite a big name and he was quite highly ranked in a lot of those sanctioning bodies. Well, when I say highly, I mean, he's in that top 15 in all of them. So I think, yeah, he'll probably get another shot at the British. I can't remember the guy who holds it now, but he beat Echo Esserman in that Magnificent Seven show last year. So chances are he'll probably get mandated for that. Personally, I'd like to see him move up to 154 because I feel like he's struggling at 147. But if he can stay down there and he's able to win that British title, then that's vindication for him. So I think that would be a pretty good move for him. Christine, rematch with Fondora and Zoo won't be for at least 6 months because of cut. My question, will there be something in between? And if so, will it be Spence or Bud? Right, well, first of all, I don't think the rematch is happening at all. Because Tim Tszyu, I don't see Tim Tszyu fighting Sebastian Fundora unless the belt's on the line. And there will be no belts on the line if he gets that rematch, because Crawford's already been mandated to fight, and the talks have to come into play for that now. So there's no so he's not stepping aside. And when it comes to Spence, I mean, well, Spence wasn't mandatory for anything. He could be in line, but they just made a big thing about having Sergey Boachuk face Brian Mendoza for the interim title, when you consider he was supposed to be fighting for the full title in that fight on the weekend. And then they said, well, the winner of that fight will be mandated to fight the winner of the main event. So you've got Bud, who's they have to sort that one out right now, and then you've got Boachuk, who is next in the queue. I don't really, and because it was a vacant title, you can't get away with having a voluntary after you won it from a vacant. So yeah, I don't see that fight taking place. I mean, look, Spence will do well to get in that fight, but I see the only real way I can kind of see that happening is if both those belts end up getting vacated, or the WBO especially. They might do some finagling with the WBC, because you know how they get. But yeah, WBO ain't gonna. That one's gonna go by the wayside, or he's gonna face Crawford next. Let's see what else we got. Okay, who do you think AJ will fight next? He should destroy Wilder now, in my honest opinion. I mean, yeah, look, I said that years ago, but if all talks are to be believed, I mean, Derek Chisora says that he's going to face the winner of Hrgovic and Daniel Dubois in that big September show, which is supposed to take place for Riyadh season. So that more than likely is going to take place at the end of September. So it can kind of lead into Riyadh season the following week or the week after, if we're looking at it from that particular perspective. And then that's also another 5v5 type card from what I can remember. So yeah, sounds good. I would like to see him out before then. I mean, he only had a 2-round job against Francis Ngannou, who didn't suffer any damage. I'd like maybe if he could get him a nice little British show, in June. June or July maybe, and then maybe a light touch, or maybe even go over to one of the American shows and do something there. I'd like to see him out again before September if possible, but I mean, that being said, he has had 4 fights within the last 11 months, or the last year we should say now. So maybe if he does want to take 4 months to his next fight, maybe have another one in December. 3 fights is fine, I suppose. But yeah, that's what I'd like to see personally. Did you see Joshua Parker call out? Yep, I did see it. And Joseph Parker, sorry, not Joshua. Joseph Parker was legendary for that over lockdown, Philip. In case you didn't see them, if you just go through his Twitter, his X, go through there, have a look through his media, and you'll see all the different videos he done over lockdown. He made a very big name for himself over that, doing those kind of videos. But yeah, no better way than getting creative with a call out than that. And I'm sure Dillian White will take that fight. So yeah, I'm happy, and I'll talk about that a bit more tomorrow. I've got some other thoughts on that, but most definitely we'll be looking for that. Although they are two of my favorite fighters, so I kind of hate when my favorites fight. But it never changes my impartiality when it comes to judging or predicting. So yeah, ultimately it doesn't matter. It just makes it a bit less enjoyable when it's two people that I respect highly, and those definitely are two people that I respect highly. Okay, let's get into some of this goodness. What else have we got in the chat? I'm liking, there's a lot of comments coming in. James, just happy for Congo. Great game plan. Adam Azim dropping the EB was expected. They obviously made up their minds, hence the Harlem Eubank fight. Harlem is not a pushover, by the way. Now, you see, that's another thing, right? The whole thing has been handled extremely badly, and the reason why is because you said that, okay, well, quote unquote, Adam's a baby, and in a couple fights the time he beats everyone. We think he beats him now. Okay, cool. You don't take the fight now, but you say, well, this obviously is the plan would be to catch him early. But when you look at that and you say, okay, the plan is to catch him early, well, Dalton Smith has had 16 fights. Harlem Eubank has had 19. And he's still an undefeated fighter as well. So what is it? Is it because he doesn't have the experience? Because if that's the case, well, this guy technically has got more experience than the guy that you just swerved for 3 different titles. So the whole game plan doesn't make sense. The whole narrative of he's just a baby, quote unquote, doesn't make sense when you then put him in there against a guy that's actually older than Dalton Smith, and a guy that said that he's going to be moving up to 147. So unless you're now saying that, well, if he's finding it hard to make 140, that gives us an advantage because he's going to be weaker on the night, or is it the fact that he's only got 8 KOs in those 19 fights? Because I think it's more that I think very, very much that they do not want to put Adam Azim in the ring with anyone that is a quote unquote puncher. If you look at everyone that he's faced thus far, not one of them, maybe with the exception of Ryland Charlton, has been a puncher. And even Charlton wasn't anything great shakes, but he was a much smaller guy as well. You look at all of their records, none of them have got high knockout percentages, and I think they look at Adam and think there's frailties there, or there's potential frailties, and they don't want to test that chin early, because he has been caught and countered in a couple of fights already, and obviously it's held up, but they haven't been big punches. I think that is the reason why. But yeah, when you go the narrative, well, this guy's had more experience than him. Well, so has Harlem Eubank. He's had a lot more experience than Dalton Smith in the pro game. But it's a Eubank, so I'm sure you get some notoriety and some eyes and stuff on that as well. Hi, Lucan. I respect Azim for giving up the belt. That's the honourable thing to do, unlike some fighters holding up the belt, calling themselves the best of their generation, greatest of all time. But the thing is, he had no other choice because it was mandated. I guarantee you, if there was no mandate on his back for that title, he'd still hold it now. And he'd probably defend it against Harlem Eubank or whoever. Like, it's only because the fight was mandated. Because if you're mandated for the world title as well, you have to give it up if you don't want to if you don't want to fight. It just is. That's just how it is. So yeah, it's honorable in the sense that, well, yes, now the belt's back in circulation, but ultimately he vacated it because there was no other choice. It was either that or fight Dalton Smith. The only reason there were talks were because a rematch was in contract. Um, are you talking about? All right, so if you're talking about Zoo and Fondora, right? No, the actual rematch was not in the contract. There was a Samson Lukovic said himself. There's a verbal agreement because it was a last minute. It was a last minute replacement. They didn't have time to draft up official proper contract, so they did it on a verbal agreement. But yeah, I guarantee you that that rematch doesn't happen. Definitely don't happen next, and I'm pretty sure it doesn't happen with a belt on the line unless Tim Tszyu moves up to 160 and Fondora ends up there as well. Fondora shocked us and shook up some plans. Yeah, he did, but he only shocked us. Well, here's the thing, and people get upset when I say this. He didn't illegally or intentionally strike Tim Tszyu, but it was an illegal part of the body that struck Tim Tszyu, which caused the cut. That cut doesn't open up from a punch. There's no way that that Fondora could have exacted that same amount of damage with a punch through the glove, especially where it was on the head. So it had to have been an illegal part of the body that caused it. So the issue is the fact that Tim Tszyu's corner didn't make more of it to get the fight stopped. It's an issue that the doctor didn't look at that immediately and say, yeah, there's no way they're going to get this under control. Look at it. And it's also maybe the referee should have looked at it again after the end of the third round to say, look, doc, like what? I don't really think this one can carry on. They should have done more to get that fight stopped. But once they didn't, yeah, congratulations to Sebastian Fondora. He did, he finally fought the correct style for his height and reach. It's just a shame because prior to that, that same style was not working. He was on his way to getting stopped inside 4 or 5 rounds. I've got no doubt in my mind that Tim Tszyu was ready to stop him. You saw the amount of damage he did after just 2 rounds, legally. So, yeah, it wasn't going to go further than that. Can you imagine Whittaker showboating someone like Beterbiev? No, but actually I can. It would be funny until it's not. That's what I would say. That being said, I think there's levels of showboating he would do. It maybe not the dancing stuff, and he definitely wouldn't be doing that. Like I think the most egregious part of his showboating on the weekend, and I loved it personally, was when he was standing right in front of Leon Williams and looking at his corner and pointing to his corner, and then he turned back to them. But he did this like 4 times without throwing a jab or anything, and Leon just looked at him like, oh. Now, to me personally, if that was me in the ring and he's pointing at my corner like right then and there, well, I'm in his peripheral, so he can see me, but you can't judge distance from your peripheral. Why didn't Willings shoot, a big right hook or something? Even if he blocked, even if he like dodged part of it, you could have caught him and just say, no, keep your eyes on me, folks. That's what I would have done. Like, you're not literally going to be talking to my camp right there, right in front of me. You're within striking distance, and I don't at least attempt to strike you when your eyes aren't on me. So that is what kind of told me that Leon Williams wasn't really there to win. I think his whole thing was if he can survive and maybe, catch a couple shots, then it makes him look better. That's kind of how I saw it. Apparently Derek Chisora has been offered Joe Joyce. Well, Chisora and Joyce were supposed to fight years ago when David Haye was promoting Joe Joyce, and he was trying to get Joe Joyce to fight him. To be honest, I mean, look, at this point, it's not an even fight. Joe Joyce still wins it, but Derek Chisora will, he'll test. Put it this way, he'll test the chin more of of Joe Joyce because he can, if you give him enough time to launch and plant his feet, he can hit. And if he lands a clean shot, I'm not going to say that he can knock out Joyce, but it will register a lot more than maybe a Christian Hammer or some of the other guys that have been caught. Emma Willis, shout out to you. The upcoming heavyweight contenders seem to be not so great. What's your expectations of Wardley, Clark, Anderson, and Co? No, yeah, Wardley and Clark. I think I've made this quite known. I don't think they're gonna get above fringe European level. I always said that I think Clark will top out at British. Maybe like a reigning British champion and sort of be there. I don't see him doing much better than that, but he potentially. I would have said European before, but if you're having like he just went life and death now, how many of these other opponents is he gonna have to go life and death with him? Because time isn't on his side. I'm not sure. I think he can. I think British, like I said, fringe European. Maybe he can win a European title. Same with Fabio, but in terms of like champions, other than that, I don't think so. But they can be in very good domestic fights that fill arenas, fill stadiums, smaller ones, and make a lot of money doing it. And sometimes that's your ceiling, and that's not a bad place to be. Christine, let's say Haney wins. Does he get credit for beating Garcia? Mental state is in question. Does that lessen? Oh, does that lessen the win if Haney gets his hand raised? Yes and no, but to be totally honest, I mean, look, this is just my personal thing. I'm not giving Devin credit for the Ryan fight anyway because I know that he's levels above Ryan, like mental issues or not. But I'm quite happy with him doing the fight just because I know this fight for him should be a good profile raiser, and so he can parlay that into getting bigger and better fights down the line. That's sort of how I've looked at it. So it's a fight that I'm comfortable enough with. I haven't got an issue with the fight. I mean, he doesn't get credit from me for winning because as far as I'm concerned, he's supposed to. But with that being said, it's a profile booster, and that's what I want for him. So I'm quite happy with that. We're walking into a weak heavyweight era. Well, Emma, no. What I will say is maybe domestically, the heavyweights is like that, but we've still got good ones outside of the UK and the US for that matter. I mean, Bakadir Jalilov is a good quality heavyweight. Even though he's incredibly inactive, I mean, Ivan Dachko isn't that bad. Martin Bakole, if he could sort out his conditioning, has potential. I still, we're gonna have fun heavyweights like Richard Torres. Depending on how long Anderson wants to stick around, there will still be some decent levels there. And ultimately, here's what I want to say with that. Look, if we enter a weak heavyweight era, well, that's actually a good thing because then that means that there's going to be loads of competitive fights. The last thing we really want is like one heavyweight that's just leagues and levels above everyone else and it's just non-competitive. At least now you'll think, well, the jeopardy is there, like anyone can get beat at any time, which makes it more interesting to buy pay-per-views and to buy shows and to go, and to sort of have that as your it's more exciting when things are more equal. So even if the quality of opposition starts to go down in that sense, it's not too bad. I don't mind it. Harlem isn't very good. Well, there's that. You can call me delusional. I give Vidal Riley a good chance against Crispin and Smith right now. Crispin and Smith is a titleist on paper, but not world class. Well, I think they fought in the amateurs, and I think Vidal Riley did beat him. I think Crispin and Smith said something along those lines. So, yeah, I think he could, but but I know that he doesn't want to rush. And you also got to bear in mind, like, Vidal Riley is 26. Billum Smith's like 33. He's got no reason to rush to get another 2 years of building, and he could definitely be in that world title picture, or at least be in contention for belts for when he's 28 and everyone else is like 35, 36. The only person he'd really probably have to contend with would be Jairo Pataya, who's by that point probably already going to have moved up to heavyweight. So yeah, he's got his opportunity to sort of reign and dominate over that cruiserweight division in a couple years time. It's the same thing with when Daniel Dubois. Like, he's what, 26 now, and a lot of the other guys are in their mid 30s. They're all starting to age out, so he can become like heavyweight prime of the next generation if he's finally turned the corner, like, mentally. So yeah, we'll see. James, they think Harlem is not good enough. Good luck to them with dealing with Chris Eubank Sr. Yeah, I've heard those shouts, and that makes a lot of sense to me. Azim's defense isn't good at the minute. He can't face a puncher. Exactly. And I think if they just said, look, if they'd have just gone down we're building a superstar, we believe that, in a year or two's time, he will be like the apex of the division. That's cool. No one's going to say anything to you. But rushing him to rushing him to title, sorry, and then not wanting him to defend them or unify them with other titles, it's like, well, why are you skipping the British? And then if Dalton Smith vacates the British and Adam Azim goes and like fights for a vacant British title or something, I can see that one happening. And if that happens, yeah, he's gonna get even more stick. Oh, so it really was the fact that you were just scared. That's what it's gonna be. The narrative's gonna be you were scared of Dalton Smith, because it's not like, oh, you thought you're too good for the British level. You bypassed it because you've now come back to it. I'm pretty sure I said he's gonna do that one in the ring. Cut person was horrible, 100%. I'll take my word. It's not honourable. He just vacated because he didn't have a choice. I wonder if you meant, I'll take your word. Oh, well, either, yeah. He has finally used his reach more. Yep, 100% from Dora. I was surprised to hear the people are complaining about Usyk versus Fury undercards. I don't know the people that's complaining about that. I haven't seen it myself, but the only thing maybe you could say with regards to that undercard is which fight is it? Obviously you've got Opetara and Braders, big fight there. But maybe it's a case of people don't really know Anthony Pikache as such, and they think Joe Cordina should be in a quote-unquote harder fight. But outside of that, you've got Sanchez and Caballero, which on paper it could be a bit of a snooze fest, but they are two, I guess, top 10 rated heavyweights at this point in time. And then outside of that, you've got a couple of like showcase fights, like David Naika's on there, Moses Atama, I believe, on there as well. I mean, what I will say, look, if we're being honest, it's not their strongest undercard that they've put on thus far, but it's a very good one. I mean, it's still still levels above most undercards that we get on most, most pay-per-views and most fight nights. So yeah, it's not really one that should be that should be trashed if that's the case. But yeah, I don't know. It's it could be better, but it's well, I say it could be better, but it could be a whole lot worse. Like, it's a good undercard. I've got no complaints with it. Like, I'd pay my money quite happily. Shout out to John Dealey. Ain't seen you on the channel in a little while. Ben Whittaker needs to stop backing up in straight lines. Well, I mean, I guess, like I said, it works until it doesn't. So maybe when it stops working, he'll back up more angularly or more laterally. But that being said, he also does do quite good movements from side to side. So maybe for the moment he's doing it because he knows he can get away with it right now. Kind of what I'll say. Facts, that was a liberty. I'm pretty sure that's about to cut. JC, shout out to you. John Dealey, Joe Joyce was stopped in the amateurs. I never understood this idea that he has this amazing chin. The guys he has fought just aren't big punchers. That's also a narrative that has been out there. So yeah, In the ring with Christine. Yes, I agree. Haney definitely levels. Agree. I agree with your point. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure we spoke about that on your channel. That that I don't ultimately give him credit for the fight. But for me, it was always about just him being being a profile booster, which I had no problem with because he's already taken hard fights and you know done things that his contemporaries aren't doing. So if that's the case, yeah, get yourself a little quick money grab. John Dealey, do you really think Opataya will move up to heavy? He said he wants to. He said he wants to move up to heavyweight, and ultimately a lot of the really big heavyweights at this point, apart from maybe a Bakadir Jalilov, they're all aging out. You've still got the Kubrat Pulevs and stuff hanging around, the Manuel Charles, like the Michael Hunter's still around. He's 6'2". Pulev's 6'4". Opataya's 6'2". He's a small cruiser, but he wants to fight heavy, and he's got the speed, he's got the power to do it. He's got the sharpness, he's got the spite. He definitely said he's moving up there. Said he wants to clean up cruiserweight first, and as soon as he cleans up cruiserweight, he's going up to heavyweight. I wonder if he'd entertain going to Bridger or Super Cruiser beforehand just to win a couple belts there. Because obviously they've only got 2 at the minute. But I wonder if he'd consider that and then move straight to heavy, or if he'd go straight to heavy. But look, at the end of the day, if Usyk was able to do it, and Usyk was smaller than Opataya, if we're being honest, he's managed to make it work. And Opataya has a lot of the same attributes that Usyk does, if not maybe the upper body movement, the lateral movement as such, but he's got a lot of the similar attributes. So these smaller guys, a lot of the time, they're nightmares for the bigger lumbering guys who don't know how to box to their height. Stay blessed. Run up the likes. Yes, if you're in here, you're having a watch, please hit the like button. I do appreciate it. I know most of the regulars have already hit that like button, but if you are just kind of watching in the background, please do so. Philip Ansel, why was that picture a choice for your thumbnail? I will be totally honest with you, Philip. It's because I was lazy and didn't create one. What I'm gonna do, I think I'm gonna create a generic thumbnail for the casual stream, like moving forward, or at least maybe for next week or the week after. But I looked for a picture that was just something of relevant news in the last couple of days just to put up. I saw that, I said, all right, it makes sense. It's still a relevant talking point and the topic from the weekend, so that will be it. But yeah, I may just have a like a casual stream thumbnail put up from moving forward, unless there are more interesting stories that come out and I don't have time to do episodes, in which case I'll create thumbnails and graphics for that. And you never know, I might even change that thumbnail after it's uploaded later on. We'll see. They've even got Abraham Lincoln as Isaac Lowe on the card. Yeah, well, one with Fury and Sugar Hill, are they still working together? Sugar Hill has recently split with 2 people. Has John Fury taken over the training camp? As far as I'm aware, Sugar Hill Stewart is still working with Tyson Fury. I haven't seen or heard anything different. So yeah. Off topic, but are there any movies you're looking forward to in 2024? The only one I can 100% say I'm looking forward to is Deadpool versus Wolverine. There's been good films. I watched Kong Godzilla, what was it, New Empire, a couple days ago. It was fairly fun, on the same level as the last Kong v Godzilla, but I like watching all of those films. I got most of them on Blu-ray or digital. But yeah, outside of that, the only one on top of my head is Deadpool versus Wolverine. And I think if the new Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 2 comes out this year, then that as well. But I think that might be next year. Hi, Lucan. What's the difference between Bridgerweight and Super Cruiser? Yeah, Super Cruiser's the WBA version. I think they have the same weight categories. Bridger weight goes up to 224 pounds, and I believe Super Cruise is the same. But if it's not, it's 220. So it'll be £4 difference between the two. But yeah, they're essentially the same thing. You unify the belts in the exact same way. I'm pretty sure you just would have to come in at the 220 limit. So yeah, just for those cruisers that are really too big just to make cruiser, but way too small for heavyweight. Is Usyk really smaller than Opetaya? He just doesn't have Opetaya's power. Usyk is 6'3", 78-inch reach. He has the same reach as Dillian Dubois. Yeah, but Opetaya's got a 70. I think his reach is 70, between 76 and 77, and he's like an inch smaller. But if you look at their frames, like he can carry the same amount of weight. He walks around 220 pounds, 215 to 220, which is the same as Usyk. Usyk used to walk around about 215, 210, 215. So he can make cruiserweight, he can make heavyweight quite comfortably. It's all about as long as he can operate with the extra weight on him. Okay, yeah, 76 inch. So I mean, it's 2 inches smaller, but he's got the same speed, similar movement. He's got a longer reach than Derek Chisora has, as far as from what I can remember, and and he's a lot quicker, so he's got a longer reach than Jermaine Franklin, who's also like a 6'3" type guy. So to me, he'll be quite comfortable at cruiser. I like Jai, and I'm really looking forward to the Bradis rematch. Yeah, 100%. He's the definition of throwback. As far as he's concerned, it's like, yeah, money. The money. I don't care too much about the money as long as it's fair. No worries. But let me get in the ring and just exercise my demons. I feel like that's. And speaking of Jai, I've got to get him back on the channel. I should actually message him. He's probably deep in training. I'll either speak to him or his management. I'll probably need to shout Mick. So Mick, if you're watching, get in touch. We need to do a part 2. The first one I think has got some of the best numbers on the channel, like over 2,000 views on the first interview, which was technically our second interview, which most people. Well, actually no, technically it was a third. The first interview I did with Jai was on Undefeated Podcast channel. Second one was on my channel, but I ended up I've ended up messing up the recording, so I only had my sections of the video, and I didn't have his. But I remember it was such a great interview. So then we came back and we did it again 2 weeks later, and it got really good views. But I feel like that second one was special, and it's a shame that no one else will ever get to see it apart from myself, or at least no one else will remember what was spoken about. And we went for a good 35 minutes. It was a really good interview, and then we ended up going a bit longer on the second one. But sometimes when there's just that magic. It's a great interview, but the magic just couldn't be replicated. Same thing. So it's a shame, but we're definitely due a catch up. So I'll reach out to the team, and I might even, if possible, see if I can get a live stream one like this, and just let everyone know. Yeah, you know what? You want to come? You can ask your questions. I'll ask some of the new guys to ask, and we'll see where it happens. If I do that, I can't lie. That might have to be a members only thing, because I respect the members. Obviously, the ones who are, paying subscriptions for the channels, they have to get certain perks, and that may have to be a perk for them. Everyone else can watch it, but members get to, leave comments, leave questions, and get those answered live. Philip, yeah, I'm looking forward to Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm looking forward to season 4 of The Boys. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I think Gen V season 2, they were shooting that, but obviously because that guy passed away on the motorcycle accident, I think they've stopped production on that for the time being. So that's a shame. Emma, Golden Boy is doing a poor job with his Haney fight. A few weeks out, and we don't have a complete undercard. Tickets are way too expensive for the fans. Yeah, I've heard that. I don't know exactly to how expensive those tickets are, but I always said it was a disaster for them to choose that fight and then put it on the East Coast. And I'm not even from America, but I felt that was a mistake. You know, just geographically, I looked and said, yeah, that doesn't make much sense to me at all. And it looks as if time has proven me right on that one. I had people telling me, no, it's not going to be a problem. People will just travel like they always do. I'm like, yeah, traveling in America is a lot different than traveling in the UK. Like, I can, I might be able to drive 2-3 hours and get to Birmingham or Nottingham or Sheffield in 4 hours with clear traffic. I can get to Newcastle maybe in 6 hours with, no traffic and no congestions on the road. But when you got to do a 6 hour flight just to get to the other side of your country, that's taking it a bit far. But it's not like one of them is from the East Coast and the others from the West. Both of them are West Coast based fighters. So what fan base do you really expect them to have on the other side of the country? But yeah, that's their business. I haven't seen I don't think they've got a, what's it called? I don't think they've got a undercard on there at all. I haven't seen any fights. I know that what's his name? What's the dude's name? Arnold Barbosa. I know that he's been training as a potential replacement, but he's supposed to be on the undercard. So we'll wait and see. Hot Pies, big up to you. Salute for joining. Christine, thank you very much. Got to run. Love, so glad I finally caught you live. Take a nap so you can hang out with your favorite girls tonight. Yeah, I'll tune in. I promise I will be up for, when is that? What's the time? Is it 2 o'clock? I think it might be 2 o'clock my time. But I'll message you. Yeah, I'll join in. Content as always. Love that. Hot Pies, what you saying, Base? You watch your WrestleMania this weekend? 100%. I can't lie. WrestleMania might take precedence over Richardson Hitchens and Gustavo Lemos. That might have to get caught on the playback. So yeah, there will be a lot. I might even do because it's a special weekend. I might even do some WrestleMania content. I'm not sure. Haven't decided, but I will definitely be watching that. Oscar was gloating that Eddie is not involved in the fight, and from how incomplete things are right now, we can tell he's not involved. This is not how you build a pay-per-view fight. 100%. Oscar's, ever since Canelo left, Oscar's struggled. I mean, part of the reason he struggled is because Ryan won't play ball, and Virgil Ortiz obviously has had his problems. But yeah, Oscar was a one-man band after all of the PBC guys left. With Golden Boy and Richard Schaefer. Oh yeah, there was a question yesterday that I did want to ask. What did you make of Ben Shalom snapping at that reporter at the post-fight presser? Another slip of the mask. No. Funny enough, I was there. I was at the press conference. You might have heard me asking some questions to both Fabio and Fraser. But no, I think he snapped because it was a bit of a. It's the kind of question you probably he doesn't think you should be asking that kind of question to a fighter straight after after such a hard fight. Maybe if he had lost, the question is a bit more relevant. But yeah, in terms of would you have considered your future? If you couldn't win tonight, or the fact you didn't win tonight, does that make you consider your future in the sport? I mean, at the end of the day, he's 32. He's not 39. Like, he's still, as a heavyweight, he's still got at least a good 5 years left in him if he really wants to, to fight. He can make a good payday. But also, you have to remember that Fraser Clark is one of Ben Shalom's quote unquote big signings as well. So he's on a big contract, and if he retires, quote unquote, or leaves the sport, that's just one less star now that Ben Shalom has on his roster. So I don't think it's a slipping of the mask. I think what that actually was some genuine emotion from Ben Shalom, which apparently people say that he seemed the most genuine when he had the interview with me than they've ever seen him. I didn't realize I was able to bring that kind of sort of that kind of personality out of Ben. Yeah, I didn't really have a problem with it because Eddie Hearn funny enough, Eddie Hearn and Sonny Edwards did a similar thing to me at the end of the Sonny Edwards and um, I can't remember who it was. The guy he fought just before Bam Rodriguez. Someone could put it in the chat, but it wasn't as aggressive as that because they didn't understand. I think they didn't understand the question how I was asking it. But yeah, but Eddie Hearn did a similar thing to me. And it's just sometimes it's just about being passionate for certain fights being built ultimately. So yeah, no, I liked that from Ben because to be honest, I did think it was a bit of a stupid question to ask, and I'm glad that he stuck up for his fighter and showed some passion. Like good on him. 2 a.m., 8 p.m. CT. All right, cool. I'll see you then, Christine. Ron A, shout out to you. How much do you know about Ernesto Tito Macedo? The Zone are picking up his fight this Friday. Seems like a dangerous prospect to 140. Yeah, I've seen Tito on a couple of occasions. Was it his last? I think it was his last two fights. So he's kind of let me down because I was expecting the big KO and they didn't turn up. He's a good fighter, and he's willing to take challenges. So I like Tito Macedo. I was just disappointed he didn't get those last KOs for me. I think I bet on one of them and it didn't come through. So that can always leave me a little salty. But yeah, Hot Pies Kings. How long do you think a Cody stays at Bridgerweight? Is there any money in any big name cruisers following him to try and bring some credibility to the division? I mean, look, realistically, if you get the entire cruiserweight division and put them in Bridgerweight, then you've got some good competitive fights. Like you put a Reactor in there. Reactor, Chris Billam-Smith, Alan Babbage. I mean, look, he says, "Oh, technically I'm back to heavyweight," but realistically, he weighs in at the Bridgerweight limit, so he can fight those guys. Like, you can have a very fun roster and a fun stable. It's just it's not going to be. That's it, Pedro Campos. Thank you for if you listen to the post fight presser on there, you'll hear Eddie and Sonny, giving me a bit of stick for my question until they understood afterwards what I was trying to say, and then it made more sense to them. But yeah, Emma Willis, harsh question, but it may come from the way Clark was taking Wardley shots. Wardley isn't the heaviest of punchers, but Clark has. No. Wardley's a heavy puncher. He's a very strong puncher, and he punches in combinations. I think the only thing about Wardley, if you compare him to anyone, and don't shoot me for this, but if you compare him, it's a bit like comparing him to David Haye, in the sense that he throws his entire body behind every shot. So he does hit hard, but it's like he exerts a lot of energy to do it. So that's why he may not seem like that big of a puncher, but he's a very strong puncher. He's very strong. And even Frazier said he hit a lot harder than I thought he would. So have you watched The Stable on BBC yet? And if so, what do you think? No, I haven't watched it. I know what you're talking about. It's the McGuigan's gym documentary thing. I think there's like 4 episodes. I haven't watched it yet. I will watch it, but I haven't as of yet. They should just make the cruiser limit 190 and the Bridgerweights at 205. I've said that before. I've said it. I think that's what they should do. It should be back to 15 pounds between light heavy and cruiser, and then you have the super cruiser after that, or whatever, 205, and then 205 upwards and heavy. But also maybe realistically you have 205 up to like 250, 255 as heavy, and then maybe you do a super heavyweight division, because realistically a guy that weighs 200 pounds or 205 pounds facing someone that weighs 340, like, it's, that's a bit of a stretch. Even if you look at, for instance, the UFC, right, their heavyweight division, the limit is 265 pounds. if you weigh any more than 265, you can't compete. So maybe there should be a limit of the upper limits of heavyweight, and then maybe you get to super heavy afterwards, and that's a separate division. I think personally that, you know, would be fair. But yeah, definitely I think cruiserweight should go back to 190, and then super cruiser British should be 205, somewhere around there, 210. Absolute max maybe 215, and then maybe from 215 upwards you have the heavyweight division or something. But yeah, I agree with you, Hot Pies. Didn't Travis do something interesting on BBC? Because I remember he said he was going to be on some show. No, so he's done a so to give you a quick summary, Travis J from the Undefeated podcast and Expect Foolishness. Make sure you subscribe to both of those if you haven't thus far. He did a BBC sitcom called Rum Punch. It's currently only in audio format on the BBC Sounds podcast. I think there's only done the pilot episode thus far, but I know they will be shooting some more. But it's called Rum Punch. It's about a Caribbean family living in the Lewisham borough. The guy had aspirations of being a boxer, so you know it's definitely based on Travis's life. But the company they run a Caribbean restaurant, and it's, you know, I guess it's about the hijinks that take place in and around the restaurant. And he's got his he's got his friend, which is obviously KG the comedian. But yeah, no, it's a good, if you haven't listened to it, yeah, download BBC Sounds and then just search for Rum Punch and you can listen to it there. It's about 24 minutes. I was there for the live recording, extremely funny, and it's still funny when you listen to it back, so make sure. James, where the heck is Andy Ruiz? Gosh, that's the $1 million question if I've ever heard it. Emma, I mean, he's not the heaviest of punches in the division, but still had Clark. I mean, maybe, I'm not saying he's the heaviest, but he hits hard. I think he probably hits harder than Anderson. He probably hits harder than Dillian in terms of punch mechanics. I mean, yeah, he's not on Anthony Joshua level or Zhang level, but he's a strong puncher. He's a very strong puncher. And remember, he's had other people rocking at those heavier weights as well. So, have you seen a channel called Fight Club 24/7? No, I haven't. Is that a channel I need to have heard of? Philip, let me know. The others will take him out. Well, yeah. Look, I mean, like I said, I feel like Frazier's found, he kind of knows where his levels is at. I think that's ultimately what we're looking at. So, like I said, British, fringe European, possible win a vacant European title, or, you know, let's see, Ajit Kabir doesn't have the European anymore, so I could see that being a route. If it's vacant, you kind of go for that after the British. I could see that. Alright, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go for another 10 minutes or so. I'm gonna put a link in the chat. If anyone wants to jump on for the next 10-15 minutes, or if there's a couple people, I'll give you a couple minutes each just to say anything you want to say. If not, then we'll sort of drop the stream. But in terms of the numbers on that card, look, 1.7 million views is a good watch. It's a good subscriber base. I feel like they can parlay off that into their next show. It's just a shame that Boxer don't have another show until May. I think it's the 11th of May is their next show, or the 24th. So it's like you've got one now, you've got one in 6 weeks, and then possibly there's one in June. Like having one show every 4 to 5 weeks ain't really good enough. They kind of need to be having at least one show a month. Really, it should be two. Obviously, I know the dates is difficult because obviously Matchroom get a huge amount of dates, and so the Queensbury and Wasserman, you know, they do shows here and there, but the difference, they're people that are always active on other platforms. So yeah, maybe Boxer need a couple more shows, or they need to loan out some of their people, or they need to do their shows on like Fridays. And see how they had a big Sunday show, 1.7 million. Do more shows on the Sunday that end early, like at a 9 o'clock main event. things like that, or do them on the Friday like Boxer do with their York Hall. Queensbury do so with their York Hall shows, or do them midweek. You know, you can have boxing on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then you just have a bit more there, and then just sign up a lot of like local free talent, and just have those shows on the during the week, and then maybe have your big show on a Saturday when there's no one else around. But when take advantage of the times when Matchroom are doing their American shows. Anytime Matchroom have a US broadcasted show, you should have a UK show ready for that weekend. And whenever Queensbury have do their Friday ones, you should be looking to parlay that into a weekend show, because then the weekend should be free for you. They need more content if they're going to survive, if they're going to get renewed at the end of the year. That's how I kind of see it. Boxer is having a good year. You think it will be good enough to convince Sky to? Well, I don't think they're having a good year at all. They've had 3 shows this year, one of which was obviously a reschedule. The issue they had with the Jonas and Mayer show itself wasn't that great. The fight was good, but then there's all the controversy about, did Jonas win or did Mayer win? Now, personally, you guys know I picked Jonas to win the fight, and I scored the fight for her. No shenanigans. I had almost the exact same scorecard as the judge that had it 96-95. He just gave a draw round and a round what I actually gave to. I think the round he gave as a draw, I actually gave that round to Mikaela Mayer. But yeah, I scored it for her. I had no issues with it, but there was a lot of controversy. Then you get, Aziz and Buatsi, which a lot of people said felt a bit more like a sparring session as opposed to a fight. And again, the undercard on that wasn't amazing, but it was highlighted by the fact that, Ben Whittaker went viral for his, for sort of his stuff. So yeah. And then they've had this one. So you've had 3 shows in just over 3 months, or just under 4 months. It's not great shakes at this point. So if they're gonna need to, maybe double up some of the next ones and make sure that this last one was a very good show from top to bottom. They need to try and do this again. So that might mean they're gonna have to match some of their other guys tough just to get those to get those shows in. But yeah. Run A, assuming Hitchens beats Lemos and becomes an IBF mandatory, do you see him taking the Matias fight? I think he'll have a very good chance if he decides to roll the dice. So he said that he'll take the fight if he feels comfortable with the IBF. He says making the weight's not a problem, but he had issues the last time he worked with the IBF with the rehydration clause. And I don't think he likes the rehydration, only being able to put on 10 pounds the following day. So if he doesn't feel good at that, then he said he'll look to go one of the other routes, since he'll already be in position. He'll try and parlay it to one of the other belts. I'd assume he'd probably go after the WBA. If not the WBA, then he'll probably try and get a fight with Devin Haney with the WBC, because he don't like Haney. So that could be a fight that could be made. But he's gonna have to make a statement against Lemos, and probably he's gonna have to get a knockout, and it's gotta be like a brutal one for him to, for people to now call his name for that. But yeah, he'll fight Matias as long as he's happy with the IBF rehydration clause. He could win, but his style is predicated on movement, and if he gets worn, he could get worn down in that. So it's a dangerous one. James, the numbers are good, but no fight in April is not great. Having the fight on Easter Sunday and it wasn't a pay-per-view. Yeah, exactly. That was smart from them, but they should have they should have capitalized on that. What was harsh? What did I say that was harsh? Yeah, their cards will always be poor. They've had some good. No, they have had some decent cards. And like I said, the one on Sunday was a fantastic card from top to bottom. I was there from the first fight to the last fight. There was no big breaks in between fights either, which was good. The only fight that you could say was like not that entertaining was Riley and Lawal, but a lot of that was just due to wasn't competitive. but every other fight, all good. Eubank Jr. seems to have disappeared off the map. I wonder if promoters are unwilling to work with him because of past experiences. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's the money. Maybe he wants too much money. Who knows? Couldn't really tell you, to be honest. It's one of them ones. Yeah, it's a shame because he really should have parlayed his victory over Liam Smith in the redemption fight. That should have been parlayed into a big fight now, but don't know what he's doing. And ultimately, at this point, it is what it is. So we'll just have to wait and see. And your guess is as good as mine. All right, but look, ladies and gentlemen, seeing as it seems as if people are probably tailing off, it's getting a bit late. I hope everyone has enjoyed the stream. It's, like I said, this one's been a lot more interactive than the previous ones. Everyone's sort of been giving their own talks as opposed to topics that I had to speak about. But look out for episode tomorrow. I will probably be recording that in a little while. I'm gonna eat some food though, because I've actually lost a little weight as of recent. I'm happy that I lost a little weight, but I don't want to lose too much. So I need to make sure that I, keep myself well fueled and all that good stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna go eat some food, record the episode of the Hardcore Casual for you guys for tomorrow. I might do some other members only content, so hopefully we can sort of get that one sorted as well. But shout out to the people in the building. James the Hot Pies, big ups to you. Thank you very much for tuning in. Philip as well, Emma Willis, Lucan, everyone else. I haven't seen Yasmin in the building today, but no doubt I will see her on the comments afterwards. But yeah, peace, shout out to everyone, and for right now, yeah, I will leave that and I will bid you all adieu. But it is the Hardcore Casual out.
Maybe I'ma make it, maybe I'm not. In time we'll see. But who better than me? I don't care if you agree. I ain't saying that I'm better than anyone, but who better than me?